These are some romance books that I think are criminally underhyped, part 2. Insatiable is a dark romance that I read a couple of weeks ago, and I was on the brink of giving it 5 stars. It's a 4.5 for me, but this is the start of a dark romance trilogy. Boy Falls First, Boy Falls Harder, absolutely obsessed with her, but also they're both separately dealing with their own really dark traumas. I'm still waiting to finish the rest of the trilogy, but the first book was such a strong start. I love both of the main characters, and Tobias Mitchell, he's the hot dad in a psych ward, and I'm in love with him. For the Wolf is actually a fantasy romance book, but I think that this was really good. Everyone kind of hates on this book for being slow, boring, difficult to understand, and I do understand those critiques. However, it may have just been the mood that I read this book in, but I gave it 5 stars. We follow a girl named Red who gets taken by the wolf in the woods, kind of. But I just remember thinking that they were both so quiet, a little bit awkward, very shy, but also in a dark and brooding way. Seeing them finally come together, it was so good. Full Tilt and All In, this is a duology, but you really have to kind of read them together because the second book heals you from the first one. The first one follows our main character who is a rock star, and she falls in love with a guy who has limited time left to live because of a diagnosis that he has received. These books are so emotional. Trust me on this one, okay? Six Scorched Roses is the novella in between Serpent and the Wings of Night and Ashes in the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent. This is honestly one of the best novellas I've ever read. They develop such a very solid enemies to lovers romance in, I think, 200, maybe 250 pages. I need to reread this because I read it so fast that I think little bits have left my mind, but it deserves all the hype it can get because it is so good. The Grip trilogy by Kennedy Ryan, honestly some of her best work and very underrated. This talks a lot about mixed couples. It's a white girl and a black guy getting together, and there's not enough mixed representation, I don't think, in media, but also it talks about police violence and police brutality specifically on Black people. So if you want a book about more than just romance and talks about actual very relevant modern day issues, the Grip trilogy is for you. And lastly, this one is a little out of the ordinary and potentially is getting the hype that it deserves now, but I can't make this video without talking about it, and that is Manacled by Senlin Yu. This is Dramini fan fiction, but trust me, it is the best fan fiction you'll ever read. It absolutely is life-changing. It is so long, but every minute of this book will rip your heart out and then put it back together. This is amazing, and please support this author because they are releasing Alchemized, which is the actual published work, which is inspired by Manacled but using non-copyrighted characters. So this comes out later this year, and I'm excited to read it and compare the two. If you want a part 3, let me know.